Oh, you betcha, buddy. Yeah, that's the old Canadian coming out of me. Oh boy, it's a marvelous evening here in the Lone Star State. I'm feeling good. Gene, you feeling good? Throw me a thumbs up. Alrighty, love to see it. Well, without further ado, let me click here and twist this knob and pop it. And I think all systems are a go. So, without further ado, Hamm Planet Podcast, episode number 6 is live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Top of the morning, folks. Good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hamm Planet Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Hamm. And if you're new to the podcast, thanks for tuning in. Great to have you here. This podcast is all about speaking with some of the most incredible people that I've met in my life and speaking about their life story, their life experiences, and their life perspective with one goal in mind, which is to provide you value. So, without further ado, we have a super special guest today. He is my only friend from Poland, and he is also a former member of the Polish national hockey team. He's also a University of Texas proud alumni, and I'm honored to say that he's been a great mentor to me, and he's a one-of-a-kind character. He is Marcin Papiez. Gene, how we doing, good sir?
You know, that's a very kind and nice introduction. I feel like you've been a mentor to me as much as I've been to you, so I really appreciate it.
Oh, Gene, you were too kind, brother. Greatly appreciate you being here. And, you know, anytime I can get a puck-slinging savage like yourself on the Hamm Planet Podcast, I'm going to capitalize on that opportunity 99 times out of 10. But, Gene, how you doing? How's life treating you, brother?
Life, you know, I guess given the circumstances, life is great. You know, I always believed that, you know, if you just look what you have,
Absolutely.
you know, like, that's why just like during this time, I started visiting my family a little more, just because I just started looking. I was like, hey, I have 2 parents. I have 3 brothers. I have nephews. I have nieces. I have people to be cheerful with, and I have people to tell jokes, and you know, bring up the past mistakes and past, you know, failures and like what we did, and I'm just like laugh about it, and I'm just like that's the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that's like from that aspect, like I'm golden. I'm blessed and happy, and
I love it.
But at the same time, you know, you kind of stuck at home a little more than you wanted to. So trying to find a ways. We just moved to a area closer to the lake. So I'm just, hey, if day's not going, yeah, if day's not going great, I'm just like, hey, I'm just gonna go for an easy bike ride and just, you know,
Toast.
on the path, just like nod people like, hey, how's it going? And my day gets better right away after that. But I wish we're just a little, you know, I know it's a tough subject those days, but it's like we want to get out there, you know. We just yearning to just get out there and get after it again.
I couldn't agree more. And it's really a crazy time in history with all of this happening. But as you touched on, this is one of those times where people really have to dig deep and embrace their family, their loved ones, and just everything they have. Because I know there's a lot of people out there who are dealing with depression, or they're anxious just to get back at it and get after it. And it's tough on everyone. No doubt about that. But you're counting your blessings during this time. Major benefits come from it. And brother, awesome to hear that you're living by a lake. How long ago did you move? What lake too? White Rock?
So I don't want to exaggerate. It's an apartment complex, but it's a White Track Lake. Um, it's they have this nice trail system here that you just like get out of the apartment and get on the trail, and it's about 10-mile loop.
Oh, I like that. That's a good distance.
So if you want to ride a bike, that's just like a quick 32 minutes ride, and just like you broke a sweat and you're out there for a run. It's 10 miles a little tougher, but it's nice. It's just active people, and it's like that loop. It's nothing like Katy. Like you live on Katy Trail, like
Yep, I
how
used
busy
to.
it can get. Like it's nothing like it gets busy, but it's like it's a little like I like a little more, you know, give me a little more space. I don't enjoy just like rubbing elbows with on a trail with people.
I agree. I love the Katy Trail in Dallas, but on a Saturday afternoon, that thing gets a little traffic. It gets a little clogged up, and when you're trying to get outside and get in nature, you want to feel free, and I can completely relate to that point exactly. Love White Rock Lake. Actually, play rugby games not too far from it, so great area.
Where at? Is that the
Over at Lake Highlands Park.
Oh yeah, I've seen that field. I was like, man, this is like it's not a football field. Like I guess you can recognize rugby versus football field, right?
Yep, our field is a little wider. It's about the same length. It's 100 meters, and our field goal posts are different. And yeah, usually a rugby pitch in America, there isn't a massive stadium stands around it just yet, but rugby's growing a lot in America. And Dallas just got a Major League Rugby team, the Dallas Jackals, and I'm super excited
Mm-hmm.
that the game's growing here. But yep, played quite a few games at Lake Highlands, and definitely going to be playing more.
Hey, you let me know when is the next game. I told you about 2 years ago we went to my wife Kayla and I went to New Zealand, Australia trip, and Fiji trip. It's like all those countries live only by it seems like by rugby,
They real
and
they really do.
I've seen my share of like especially like I back in the day I felt like I went to UT Austin and we had this stand, like, you have this stand when you like advertise your team. I was on a hockey team and I was like, come and watch our games. And those like right next to us, there was those rugby girls. And they were telling me the stories that their friend was like died during the game because of,
Oh no.
some head injury. And I was like, I mean, I could see that. This is a tough sport, this is a tough sport. You don't, like, in hockey or football, you wear a full gear, full protection, helmet. Rugby is a different story. I'm just like, you gotta like, honestly, Pete, I don't know if I want to put myself out there because I want to live.
I
These guys
fully
are crazy. Like, how do
living
you do
is
that?
living is a good thing, so I understand your concern, and I can say that you are not alone with that thought process. How do I do it? I love it. I embrace it. I feel good when I play it because it's the type of game that it challenges you in every single aspect. Whereas I feel like other sports in the world, there's hockey is really a mentally tasking game, physically tasking, emotionally tasking. I guess you could make an argument for any sport to be tasking in all facets, but rugby, it pushes you to the brink. It's true test of strength, power, and endurance all combined into one battle. And there's a lot of tactic and a lot of strategy. And there's no better feeling than running with a rugby rock. and trucking over a guy or making a hard tackle, or most importantly, getting a big win, a good team win.
Hey, so what do you, Pete? What do you usually like when you're about to, like, let's say you have a guy just like stand straight, he just like caught a ball and like you see open, like you see just like about to like track him. Do you go with the shoulder first or elbow? Like, what do you lead with?
So you always lead with your shoulder. In rugby, you view your shoulder as your weapon, honestly. Your shoulder
Seems
is
like pretty consistent across like football, maybe hockey too. Like, I guess you get the most power out of it.
Yep, you want to use your shoulder. You want to get low. That's one of the most important things. And you want to wrap up their legs. And the lower you can get, the better. And tackling is honestly one of the hardest parts of the game because you're not wearing pads. Grown-ass men are going 100%. And everyone out there has got the same intentions of, hey, I want to win, and I'll do whatever I got to do.
They should be scared of you. They should be scared of you, man. I'm just like, I've seen those videos. I have really seen those videos, and I'm just like, there is not a – I mean, honestly, there's a lot
of big boys.
I want to go to the game because, like, I've seen your videos, like, playing. Maybe I was, like, the Baylor days, but just, like, I've seen those videos, and it's like, man, I'm just, like, it's like a man amongst boys. I mean, I don't want to, but it's, like, it's really, like, so, like, I
appreciate that, brother.
I've
always been a big boy.
When you get to your like, more like a senior level, like, do people, like, because, like, always the money follows.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the performance there is or people want to get it. But it's like, rugby's still not that big. Like, how do you manage that of, like, keeping top players and, like, still keeping the level up?
Well, it really depends what program you're a part of. I feel like that's a huge aspect. And there is a lot of exceptional talent in the United States. And a lot of them do play for these great programs. So being a part of that helps you keep that competitive nature by being around people who are at a high level and who have similar rugby aspirations to yours. And it's improving year after year. It's awesome that Dallas has a professional team because that's just going to continue to grow the sport and continue to make people who play rugby within the DFW Metroplex and even the outskirts a lot more engaged and a lot more driven to reach the next level. And it's a hell of a game. You got to come watch a game, Gene.
When is the next game?
I wish I could tell you, brother. Right now, due to Corona, we had to cancel our 15 season. And we'll see. Definitely right once Corona's gone, we're going to be back after it because we're chomping at the bit. I'm chomping at the bit.
Hey, so your games at the Lake Highlands, is that where they are?
Yeah, we play a good amount of our games there.
I'll be there, brother. I'll be there. Anytime.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump from your house.
Hey, it's literally. I ride the bike like almost every other day there, because you just have to cross the street to get to that field because the White Track Lake Trail is like right next to it. So I always see it, man. Just the open green field, just look beautiful. No one is there. It's just asking for some people just to run out there, throw some things.
Oh yeah, I bet it looks great right now. I'm sure.
I know, man. It's just like.
Yeah, we're getting there, brother. My optimism thinks it'll end soon.
Maybe you can get me on a team as some sort of water boy. I'm just like dying to be a part of a team. Just like some sort of, just like give me just like some towels to like. I'm just gonna motivate the boys to keep going because I can't. Hey, so what I'm doing?
Dean,
right
we could use you on the field.
Hey, I can do anything. Just give me a task. I would just try to complete it.
Hockey
But like
guys
what I'm
are
trying to do,
good rugby players.
what I'm trying to do right now is like I have this decent bike. So like when I was in college, I was like always just like hefty goals. Like I'm gonna do a marathon, then I'm gonna do the half Ironman, and I was like,
Those are
I think it was
intense.
like right after I graduated, I did the half Ironman, and I had to get a bike for that. So like I didn't have a bike, so I went and bought this like 400 bike, just decent bike. So I still ride it, but like when I go on a bike ride, I still have this bike, and when like I make an effort, I make a point of someone not surpassing me. If there was this
Oh,
guy,
you get
there was
competitive.
this guy, this guy the other day. I'm telling you, like you can see like when those guys have expensive bikes,
Oh
like
yeah,
those bikes get expensive, like $20,000.
all the
And I was
equipment.
like, and I have nothing, so I'm gonna make an effort. So there was this guy who surpassed me, and he took a turn. Super fit guy. I mean, skinny, expensive bike. I chased this guy from like maybe a little past Lake Highlands to Deep Ellum till I caught up with him, and then I turned around and I was just like, I just not gonna like let that happen just because it's a little bit of motivation, like like
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Did you say anything to him?
no, I was like maybe I should have like, but I was just like I didn't think it was appropriate because like this guy was like was this guy a loser? Like I don't even have a clip-on shoes, I just have a normal shoes on my bike. So but it's like I don't look to compete with this guy. I'm just looking for some team aspect of training, like
Yeah. And
I
right now it's
like
just like that desire is overflowing. And it's just, if anyone pulls up next to you on the bike, they're getting dusted.
yeah, it's like imagine like you wanna like a team of like bike, like you be team biking and like you're the last guy, like you're not gonna like you'd rather die than be the last guy on this bike ride, like so you're just gonna like hold your ass to really like surpass everyone. So like I don't know, I'm trying to find a different ways of motivating myself, and it comes to like just like
Because hockey's
catching
canceled
like
right now, right?
yeah, I think the NHL is about to like start up in August, but the men's league, which I'm part of,
Yeah.
we started in June. So it's like, but it's like it's a non-contact. It's just more just like a have fun type
But
of
y'all are
league.
still getting to play right now?
Yeah,
That
I've been
that
playing for last 4 weeks.
okay, good. That's good to hear. At least some sports are getting back to it.
Yeah, I know it's I don't know why. I feel like I guess it's a little surprising when it comes to the like what's going on around, but it's like I'm not. I mean, not. I want it, so I'm totally. But hey, looking at the guys, like yesterday we had a game, full
Yeah.
roster. Like no, like normally like maybe like 50% of people show up because they have job responsibilities, but like full
Yeah.
roster, everyone showed up. Everyone showed up.
I
Like
love it.
people dying to get out there.
Oh yeah. And I feel like you can feel that energy when you're out and about. You can tell that people are ready. They start getting after it and start living, getting busy living.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gene, brother, so when did you start playing hockey? And where did you start?
So I started playing kind of late. Um, Number one sport in Poland was always soccer. So like when you grow up, like I feel like I don't know, like we were kind of like on a I guess maybe like a poorer side. Like I always want to go and like be a part of organized sport, but my mom would just never sign me up for that, or like for some reason I never figured it out. So then we moved from this small town to the capital of Poland, and we went to just like my brother, who's 2 years older, always just like was on the lookout for something, and he noticed like this exotic sport in Warsaw, like which is fairly exotic. Like no one plays ice hockey in Poland really to this day. It's not like
It's a
not even top five. It's not
Oh,
even a
wow.
top 5 sport. Yeah. And he noticed, he noticed people practicing there, and like, when you don't know the sport, like, oh yeah, they look great. They might be the total benders, but like they look great. And he wouldn't sign up for it, and then next thing is like he's my older brother wants something, I wanted something too, and I wanted the same thing too, and that's how I started. I think I was like about 12 years old, 12 or 11, which is like, honestly, it's like in those days, especially like when kids start playing when they're like 3 years old, sports. I'm just like, being 11 years old, it's like I was always felt like I started late.
Yeah. I mean, most people in America, I feel like their kids start playing the sport that maybe their parents really want them to play, or maybe that is like the primary sport of that community or state or city. They start when they're 8. Like that's the standard number. But I mean, I started playing rugby at 15.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That was a sport that I was introduced to in high school.
What did you play before?
So from second grade all the way up until my freshman year, I played football and basketball. And when it came to basketball, I was decent, but was never a pro prospect. And football, though, I was pretty solid. I was always a bigger guy, and I always played lineman, though. Ever since I was in second grade, I was always a lineman. I either played offensive guard or offensive tackle or defensive end. So I always wanted to run with the ball, or I always wanted to play tight end maybe. And I didn't get that opportunity. So the rugby coach, Daryl Knowlton, who is one of the greatest men I know to this day, always will be, came to me and he said, Pete, if you want to run the ball, you can run the ball as much as you want in rugby. You can tackle, you can run, you can truck, you can get intense, and I think you're going to love it. You should give it a shot. From the moment he sold me on that, I started playing rugby, and you know what? I never played football after that year. Once I played rugby first season, I fell in love.
And that was at Culver?
That was good old Culver Military Academy in Indiana. And
that's like,
yeah, it was. It was a big deal.
Go ahead.
It was a big deal because, as you know, I was born and raised in Texas. In Texas, everyone in America knows that everyone in America knows that Texas is known for football. It's a football state. It's a lot of football families. Everyone watches football. It's a huge sport in Texas. So when I told my family that, hey guys, I'm going to play rugby now, and I'm actually going to stop playing football, the sport that I did have a lot of promise in at the time, and that I had played forever. And I was going to play this completely new game. And honestly, my family didn't really know much about what rugby was at the time. So they were honestly kind of pissed off. Because they were like, what the hell? We wanted you to keep playing football. You were going to be really good. You might have got a scholarship. You might have, things were going great. Why do you got to quit?
Yeah.
They were heated. And I shit you not, love them to death, and I understand their concern at the time. But they ended up falling in love with rugby, and I ended up falling in love with it too. And over time, it grew on them, and now they absolutely love it.
Hey, you're right on it, brother. You're right on it. And it's kind of like funny, like how it introduced like the transition to like anything you want. So here's what I see.
Yeah, what do you see?
And you took that route the same as I would ever taken. There is this bottleneck of going into this most popular activities that everyone else is doing, and everyone is missing those like niche little things that are just like even more enjoyable, like even in the business world, more profitable. But like all the talent goes into one area, and all those little pockets of like things are left alone because people just like going after what's the most popular, what's most desirable. And it's like, you went to rugby and they're just like, you could not make a better decision, because I can guarantee you there's like thousand other football players who just get burned out. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's just a crazy environment. Like, and what, like, chances of becoming NFL player just so slim. You might as well just like try to become like a star lawyer. You're gonna succeed like 100 times like trying that comparing to playing NFL football.
I couldn't agree more. And I feel like a lot of creative, good opportunities do get left behind because they're not as widely accepted. And the ones that are widely accepted, people are filtered towards those, just as you mentioned. And, I'm the type of guy who feels like you can only control what you can control in life. And when I was at that age, 15-year-old young man, one of the things I could control is at least choosing the sport that I knew that made me the happiest. And I couldn't control the fact at that time if I was going to play college football or play pro or any of that. What I could control is, hey, what do I love? What just gets the juices flowing? What gets me fired up? And how can I become the best I absolutely can at that and do that as much as I can with my time? And I felt that way about rugby. I thought that was the game that could definitely do that for me. And took the road less traveled, and it was a damn good one in my decision. And I always feel like the rugby journey is still just getting started for me, because I'm going to be playing until I'm an old man, brother.
Hey, it's like, Pete, I'm telling you, that's why we seem like to be thinking about the same things, because like especially in Texas, if you can say like, oh, I play football in high school, like literally everyone played football in high school. Like, okay, just like, but it's like rugby, and then you play on a professional team. Like, it's just like, okay, no one does it. Like, so it's like, it's not only like, like I know you never talk about it. Like, we never talk about those things, but just like you go after things that are just like out there that you find you deem desirable to do. And that's because, like, I don't know, that's how we are. But I was thinking, go ahead.
It's got its pros and cons. I will say that is, proceeding with the things in life that you feel like you can control and be the happiest with those decisions. And yeah, that's just been my personality. I've always felt like, okay, this is something that is new or rare or interesting, or you know what, I just like it. And the things I feel that way about, I'm attracted toward them like a magnet. And that's how I live my life, brother. You know me.
I know you. Hey, Pete, I'm not worried about you, man. You're solid. Like, you're solid. Whatever you do, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine, because
I appreciate that, brother. I need that.
It's all about just, you're all about doing it. There are people who just like want to talk about their plans and just like how we're gonna do it. You're all about doing it. So I know you're gonna make it. But just real quickly, because before we jump into something else, like, I want to talk about
Absolutely,
like the path of like when you grow up and like, let's say coaches, you know, like I want to hear about your story about the coaches like could impact you, because mostly in my life, honestly, it's just like, I don't
Yeah.
know, you always look at the coaches. We always had some good coaches and bad coaches, but I feel like in my life, the pivotal part that played was I was right at 17 years old, and you know, you have those coaches who can either like who either like you or don't like you. Like, you know, like you maybe had like this
Oh yeah.
football coach who just like didn't like really vibe with you. Like you even know and deep inside you can make it. Like you better than that, but he really didn't put his, you know, his cards in you. I I had that guy, and the funniest story was like this guy was, I
Yeah. Let's
mean,
hear it.
talk about the fucking dumb coach. Like the
Yep.
guy who is zero awareness. He's still there. Like, you know, he's wearing this haircut that you imagine just like splitting your hair like right in the middle and putting this like, I don't know, like 70s, like kind of like a, you know, half moon type of a deal on your forehead. That was the
There's a
guy.
name for that haircut. It's the chili bowl middle part. It's a rough haircut. Highly do not recommend.
Whatever it is, like this guy is like fucking, I'm all about it. And
Yeah.
you know, and Poland, like I guess it was like, you know, if you seemed like pretty after coach, like, you know, I'm gonna go and train those guys, like you out there, you're gonna stick with your job, and this guy was there. His name was I guess I don't know his name. He knows where he is.
We'll say Coach Phil.
Coach Phil,
Just
yeah.
Coach
and
Phil
and
for the podcast.
and he was always known for this, like, you know, just hardcore coaches. And we sitting there, and I'm fighting for my spot for, like, it was like under 18 national team of Poland, and I'm fighting for my spot. And you know, there's a players table and there's a coaches table, and he say this thing. It's like, oh, this motherfucker, he went out there and do this. And I'm just like, and he describing the situations like it happened in the game. It happened in the game. And I'm just like, that's exactly me. And I'm like literally, like, I was right behind him. There's like, how you not aware? I'm just like right here. If you want to say something, I mean, before I disagree with what you're saying, but it's like, if you want to say something, just like, I'm right here. Like, how can not be aware that your player, one of your players, one of the 20 players is right next to you? And I was like, man, this is like,
Well,
it was very different.
I feel like that's one of the big things that can separate good coaches from great coaches, is being able to identify what really motivates their players, what really drives them to perform at their highest level. And, you know, when a coach does something like that, which definitely didn't do any favors for you, just pissed you off, that's not being a great coach. And I know that's a common maybe coaching strategy sometimes, to kind of subliminally call out players when you're getting your team riled up, maybe at halftime or so on and so forth. But, you know, a good coach knows how to get each one of their players motivated, and it's different each and every time for each and every player. And yeah, I've had my fair share of bad coaches, and I've had my fair share of really legendary coaches. And no shitty hockey coaches though, because I've never played hockey.
No, you're right, man. It's like, I feel like, especially when you're young, like, you don't know what the F is going on. Like, you have no clue, all right? Like,
You really don't.
like, you always put your faith in the older, like, elders, almost, like, you know, older coaches. Like, they're older, they know what they're doing. Like, you know, just like, you've lived your life. Like, tell me But I'm just like, if I was younger and I knew, those guys also, they have no fucking clue what's going on. Like, I would just probably do my own thing. But I'm just like,
Well, yeah, that's one thing that is crazy and is kind of common, that there are a lot of coaches for the younger teams, especially, I mean, middle school sometimes. There's been coaches who are just, out of their minds sometimes by how serious they'll take it when it's just a game, that young athletes are playing, and most importantly, they're learning. And, yeah, just like with anything in life, there's a ton of great coaches and there's a few bad apples. And, you always hope to pick the finest, freshest, best apple off the tree. And for me, I've luckily had a lot of great coaches, and I got to give a shout out to a few of them right now. Daryl Knowlton, the guys I mentioned earlier. He was my head coach at Culver Military Academy. He's probably been one of the most pivotal coaches because, one, he taught me the game of rugby. Two, he was the first coach who really believed in me, and he established a confidence in me that was much higher than I had my own bar set. And he continued to fuel the fire and keep me motivated. And we clicked really well, and he helped me become who I am. And he's an awesome guy and an awesome coach. I hope he's listening to this. And another great coach, gosh, I've had so many. Mason Hearing, he was my coach at Baylor. Just a great guy. He truly was one of those coaches who just loves everything about the team and wants nothing but the team. Nothing for the team except to win and to work hard for every win that you earn, and to always put a lot of value into brotherhood. So I love that about Coach Mason. And we won the Red River Championship at Baylor, first time in history with our team. So he played a huge part in that. Man, the list goes on and on and on. But Nick Lane, I had a huge Australian coach, and he's still close to me today. He was one of the coaches that would always push our team to the threshold of, damn, this is getting hard and this is getting intense, always during every practice. So having Nick as our coach, every time I went to practice, the one thing I could guarantee is that I was going to leave a better player. And I love that about him. He was one of those coaches that he would never tell us to do something that he couldn't do or that he wouldn't do with us. He played high-level rugby in Australia and in New Zealand, and he's a beast of a man and a hell of a coach. And he has 3 triplet boys.
Oh, hell.
They're going to be big rugby,
that must be tough,
rugby
man.
players. It's a lot, but if anyone can hold down that responsibility, it's definitely him. And last coach I got to give a shout out to is my godfather, David Armir. He's the one who made me fall in love with fitness, training, being the best athlete you can potentially be, and molding that with the type of person you are. And I lived with him for 6 weeks in Colorado when I was 16 and trained for 6 hours every day with him. And
that sounds awesome.
He changed my life, and he helped me flip that switch to saying, oh yeah, game on. Let's get it. So Tons of good coaches, brother. Who's one of your best coaches that good old Marcin's had? One that comes to mind, maybe.
Man, you seem to have a lot of them. It's
I'm lucky.
You are. I really think it's like, I feel like you don't get as many coaches in Poland when you grow up. So let me give you maybe a little background when you play like middle school or like even elementary like school sports, like you don't really have coaches in Poland. It's kind of like a physical education. Like imagine like in your like regular school, just a physical education, like teacher, like that's who you have. And there's some, like a lot of them probably have an influence, on it, but it's just like they're just doing their job and they're trying to do their best. And then I had a coach who so there was this like government sponsored program in Poland.
Okay, I like that.
It's kind of like, it sounds like very like Soviet Russian, like thing. Like you just got it.
Definitely
like,
does.
It really did. Like you go in there and like he just like, so we had this program. It's called like SMS, and essentially when you finish middle school, you go to high school. You become a part of it's called like a national team prep team. Like you literally just like live in the
national
boarding
Poland team.
Yeah, boarding room. Like literally, they were just like, each class had maybe like 13 players, so there was about 39 of us because there was 3 grades in high school.
So you went to all hockey high school?
Yes, all boys.
See, I don't know
hockey,
this.
like
in Poland, in what town again?
So that was like old. It was there's this region in Poland, Sosnowiec. That's the town. Sosnowiec. Sosnowiec, but that's like a coal mining area in Poland. It's a southwest of Poland, like a former Germany.
Sounds like they breed men.
I mean, they do, but it's a different, like Poland is divided into the like, I feel like, so here's my take on Polish. I feel like the hockey we played, like the people, like I used to live in Klinczyn, which was like south,
okay.
And just the south of us there was and not south of us, the west of us there was this. We call them like just Górale, which is like just a mountain people.
Yeah.
From Novi Targ. I always believed they had like the most character. Like they were just like,
they're the hill country folk.
Even as a kid, like you just like, yeah, like kind of like country people. Like you just like, you don't mess with them. Like you can't mess with some like people up of north who live by the sea, but you don't mess with those. So like I always admired them, and I don't know, it was kind of cool to be around them. Went a couple of tournaments with them,
so you were at this hockey school. You were at this hockey school for 3 years, and all boys school. No,
yep.
No one there didn't play hockey. Is that what you're saying?
That was a hockey school. Everyone played hockey.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense.
Thought it would.
Did your brothers go to this college too, or was it just you, Gene?
No, I mean, I'm telling you, man, we were a farmer family from Poland. I feel like my
Polish farmer turned hockey player turned American businessman.
It's a fair description, honestly. Honestly, it's a fair description because I moved to the United States when I was just turned 20. Before that, I played hockey. Before that, I was a farmer. I mean,
what do you farm at the Papiez farm?
So my grandparents didn't really have much. I feel like cattle was like a big thing, but they when I was visiting them during the summer, they didn't have cattle. They just had kind of they were growing grains on whatever the land they have. They had chickens, but I think just like learn to live with whatever they have.
Yeah. So y'all had all types of stuff.
Yeah, it's and then like that was like my grandparents and my parents started a little better, so they tried to like start the business, and then
Right. Is the farm still open today? Or is it
I
still,
think so. Since
do y'all still live there?
no one wants to do farm anymore, man. No one wants to do farm anymore.
I don't blame them, honestly.
Hey, have you what? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that, farming used to be, it was like, back in the day, it was like a career where, hey, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a farmer. And it was like very common, and it was a very noble and promising career. And, you were going to be someone who helps feed the people, help feed the village, feed your city, your town. And it's crazy. A century later, like, there's not a ton of people that say, hey, I want to go be a farmer, just due to the different era we live in, all the innovation that's occurred since then. But that's awesome. I didn't know you came from a farm town or a farm family, Gene.
Have you Pete, going back to, have you watched the show in the United States, the Yellowstone?
I haven't. I've heard good things about it, though.
You should. It's like a Bozeman, Montana, and
okay. I know where that is. I've been there.
Have you been there? Okay, so it's like,
oh yeah.
I don't know if it's like been filmed there or not, but it's about this family. Like, it's a pretty well-off family, and they're just kind of like, I guess Kevin Costner is the main actor, and he's like,
he's good.
No one does what we do of ranching for money. You just do it for the way we live, and it's like,
Makes
I don't know.
sense.
There's about there. Yeah, that makes sense. Every time I go to the countryside, it's like I love it, but at the same time, I don't know if I love it because there's just everyone that I know just would like literally move out in a second out of this place. So, I love it? I love it.
It takes a special person to run a farm and facilitate it on a daily basis, and to live in that agricultural farm, away from the city, away from people type of lifestyle. And yeah, no, I can completely relate. But it is a damn good feeling just getting outside and soaking in some nature. Working on getting a good balance of that. I'm trying to get outside for an hour a day.
Everyone should get a ranch. That's my feeling, that everyone should get a ranch those days, and just like get a ranch, get a land, and just do what the hell you want to do. That's my feeling.
Land is one of the best investments I feel like anyone can make, and it's going to stand the test of time no matter what, unless something
in
crazy happens.
In those times, imagine like you have I don't know, like even like 10-acre land, and you have a 4-wheeler, and you have some, you have some forest there, and you have a little tree there, and just like you can just like move around. Like that's like a dream right now during the COVID. Imagine someone who has like a 900 square feet apartment. Like, I don't know. It's a night and day difference.
It is night and day, brother. And that is definitely the dream. Luckily, I do have a few people who I know. Actually, 2 of my best friends from college, and they're like brothers to me. 2 Canadian twins, Blair and Rupert. Great guys. You would honestly love them, Marcin. And they have exactly what you were talking about. They have their own, essentially, it's they have a lot of land, and it's on an island. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there's only a few other people who have houses. I think there's only 2 other houses on the island, but their portion is fully self-sufficient. It has a farm. It has fresh water. It has power generators. It has berries,
Where are they at? Which
fish.
island?
It's off the coast of Vancouver. It's called
Oh,
Gambier Island. Phenomenal place. It's like a dream. Have you
brother,
ever
whatever it's.
have you been to
Go ahead.
Canada before?
I've been to Canada. Yes,
Vancouver?
been there.
It's a great place. I love it there. Low
I've been
price.
to. Hey, so I've been. My wife and I went to Whistler there, and just in British Columbia, and I mean, when you live hockey, like
Oh yeah.
hockey's Canada. I mean, honestly, there's no way around it. Like those people live there, and I hope it's gonna stay that way, just because it's like I just hate the flip flopping of, like, different people just enjoy. Monday I enjoy this, Friday I enjoy the other thing. It's like Canada is just like hockey, and it's like
It's
I
hockey.
hope the
It's hockey land.
yeah, I hope the winter stays cold, and the summers are mild, and hockey stays in Canada. That's what I hope. But it's like when you go there in the summer, it's beautiful. It's like not too hot, not too cold. You can
Oh, it's perfect.
you can enjoy it, and just like all those little villages around, and just like there's no one there. And we never went to like the Victoria Island, but man,
There's so
all
much
those
beautiful land in Canada. So much. It's so huge, you know? It's such a
yeah.
huge country, and I've only been to Quebec and Vancouver, but I absolutely want to explore everything in between because I love Canadians. A lot of people like to say that sometimes I sound a little Canadian, and I take that
Do
as
you?
I take that as a great compliment because I did live with 2 Canadians for 2 full years, but the Canadian accent, it's always an honor. But I don't know. What accent do you think I have, Gene? It honestly it switches depending upon who I'm talking to. I have like one of those chameleon type accents that it changes a little bit depending upon who I'm talking to. But there's a few staple words that are always used.
I would really not guess what I. It's just hard to, like, when you're not from this country. It's hard to guess. Like, I mean, unless you're like very obvious British or Australian, or I don't know, like something else. Like, it's hard to guess where you're from.
Yep, I can do a rootin' tootin' accent like this and start talking real Texan for you. Darn sure,
I wouldn't mind
because
that, man. I really just I wouldn't mind that. It's awesome.
maybe I just do every different podcast in a different accent, and I'll crack a cold one each time, and I'll see where the accent takes me. All right,
Not a light.
I'm
That's
back. I'm
not.
back. Yeah, that'd be Natty Light, no doubt, or Lone Star.
Hey, what's the deal with now? Hey, I actually never got a natty lights, but it seems like all the Florida people do the natty lights.
Oh yeah, it is the Florida man's fuel. It is. It's a shit beer. Simple as that.
I mean, some
it's a
people love
cheap
it. Some
beer. You
people,
can get it for $13 for a 30 rack. I don't like it. I already drank too much of it in college. I'm done with it. But yeah, Florida
how do you
people,
compare to Coors Light?
Coors Light is like a step above. It's like a little bit better. Natty Light is just, the Florida man's fuel. Nothing against Florida. I love it. One of my favorite states. But Natty Light, not the best beer in the league.
Hey, it seems like next time we're gonna get together, we gotta get the natty light. It's just calling for it.
We got to do
at
it.
least one, at least one of them, because I don't think I ever had one. Honestly, I mean,
You
I
don't have
always
them in
just
Poland?
heard this. No, I just heard the stories. I've seen the boxes of that natural light, but I never had one. I don't think I ever had one. It's a legend.
Well, brother, they are very smooth, and you can drink a lot of them due to the fact that they are literally just water with a couple barley sprouts mixed on in. But yeah, you got to have a natty light if you never had one. It's a rite of passage for any American.
It's like a NASCAR beer. Do they drink a NASCAR
Oh yeah,
or not necessarily?
definitely a huge NASCAR beer. What's the biggest beer in Poland? Like, what's the cheap one that I can just get like a lot of them for $20?
I don't think they have like. I don't think maybe it changed. I mean, it's been like it's been 11 years, but since I've been there.
What's your go-to Polish beer?
Żywiec. Żywiec
Żywiec?
and Tiskie. Żywiec, yeah, and Tiskie.
Tiska.
You go to like Specs, you can find those beers. Like Tiskie, I think they're becoming a little more international.
What
I
kind of
think
beer are they?
like Pilsner or like we're right in the Czech Republic, so it's kind of like you get kind of overshadowed a little bit. But I think Polish beer needs a little more attention because we were still like known as a vodka type of country, but
Oh
we
yeah,
have some good beer. We have some good beer.
I want to go. And Poland is one of the, I guess not one of the few countries that I haven't been to in Europe, but it's one of the countries that I've never been to. I went to Czech Republic. I've went to Germany, France, England, um, Switzerland, Italy, not Poland, which I'm very lucky that I got to go to all those places. But I need to go to Poland.
Don't you think? Don't you think like this calls for some sort of like a trip of just a bunch of well-behaved boys who can take care of themselves and just like going out and just like let's go out there and just see for ourselves, because like I really want to go back to Poland, but like hey, there's like some other places haven't been. I haven't been to Italy. I have not been to France. I have not been to Spain.
Yeah,
There's so many countries in Europe.
Well, if you want to go on an adventure and explore some history and see some amazing parts of Europe, I won't be your tour guide, but I will join you, brother.
Be a companion.
I'll be a companion.
That's what I'm
be a teammate.
That's what I'm looking for. I feel like I've been in a good side of my wife, and I think she'll let me do that. She'll let me do that, I think.
Absolutely. I definitely hope so, because it would be a very great thing for us to do. Going to Europe, I feel like it's one of those places that you learn a lot when you explore Europe. At least I have. Every time I've went to Europe, which not a lot, but the 2-3 times I've been, every time I came back with a little bit of different perspective, with a little bit of more better understanding of the world, with a little bit more of a appreciation for history and culture and how things are so different in Europe compared to America. And all good things would come from a Peter and Marcin Europe adventure journey.
Yeah, Pete, I agree. And you know what? I especially like because we, people tend to forget. Even I'm from a different country. I tend to kind of forget what we didn't have back there and what we have here, and it's like when you have like international students and they talk about like what we have here and what they have there, it tends to remind you like, so all this stuff we have here going on right now with the
All types of
presidential
crazy shit.
race. Yeah, and one of the guys said, and I'm not gonna say from which country, is like, you guys are, your Republicans are way more liberal than we would ever have. So like, like it just like we
That's why
think we very
it's good to go be a part of that and witness that in other countries and kind of see how they think and
exactly.
how they function and how they operate their businesses and how they live their lives and, see the good and bring that back with us and whatever they, maybe we don't agree with or don't like or,
Yeah, yeah. Imagine
you share that.
imagine that. I mean, obviously, it's like everything is just like right now. It's just a kind of intensify, but like you go on any capital in any state capital of the United States, and you voice your opinion on the top of your lungs, and you just scream it on top of your lungs, and versus you go out there and say it in a different part of the world.
Oh yeah, people are going to react differently everywhere you go.
It's much different. It's much different than So I am very thankful for being in this country. I mean, I'm a double citizen, and
oh, I know you are, brother.
I
know you're happy to be in Texas and to be in the good old USA.
Texas is my place, but I mean, it's my place. I'm leaving that place.
Texas,
You can't sell me for anything else. I feel like, I don't know. It's just like
we got it all.
It's such a good place. Why don't we talk about Texas? I mean, it's how why people love Texas so much? Why?
You need more reasons? I can give you some. Well,
I mean,
people love Texas because, to put it simply, I could read you a list off of 1,000 things why we love it, but people love Texas because we've got everything you need. That's the best way I can explain it. We've got major cities. We've got a very strong economic sector. We have the desert, mountains, rivers, the hill country, the ocean side, suburban areas, farmland. We got it all. And a lot of good food. And pretty good tax policies. Yeah. Comparative to other states. So yeah, if I would put it simply, people love Texas is because we got everything you need. And obviously I'm a little biased, but I'm a proud Texan.
Yeah, I get it, man.
It is a lot different. I could imagine.
I noticed I feel like people are pretty reasonable here. It's nothing. And I mean, I'm not speaking I'm speaking for what I've seen. I lived in suburbs of Austin. I lived in Austin. I lived in Houston. I live in Dallas. And people are like reasonable. Like there are differences. Like obviously Austin is very hipster, very, I mean, a lot more liberal than Houston and Dallas. Houston is a little more like just a laid back. Dallas is very uptight place, like when you get from somewhere else, it's like you kind of like feel like you gotta drive like a certain car, but you get used to it.
Yeah, Dallas got the uptown vibe.
Yeah, it does. Like Lexus, Mercedes, or BMW type of you have to have a lease or something, or else you don't fit in.
Yeah, true that.
But it's a good place overall. Like I mean, I don't question any other states. I feel like who knows? Like
all types.
Arkansas would be good.
Yeah, there's a lot of states. I mean, I feel like every state in the U.S. has a lot of awesome things about it.
Yeah, and it's like no one should be ashamed of like where to live. Like if you enjoy where you live, just like vouch for it, because they might not be a like person next to you vouching for it. because they might be hearing something on the radio or social media that they're just like, LA is the best place to live. Like, I mean, if I were bored right now, I would literally just like circle places I don't want to live, and probably LA, San Francisco, New York City as another one of the places I want to live right now.
Definitely not on my list either. The big city life ain't for me. Those are like big cities. That living in those places, it's just not what I want to do. I get too crowded easily. When I go to New York, I feel like I'm bumping into people all the time, and that I'm squeezing into places, and I feel like, it's such it's such a big city.
You
But
want to fight someone on a sidewalk, like you just like someone just like shoulders you, like you walking by, and just like someone just shoulders you out of nowhere, and just like they don't even turn around and say sorry, and you just like, what the fuck is this place?
Yeah, I mean, there has been some times where I've got pretty heated bumping into someone, either on the subway or just walking around one of the busy streets. But, I always try to avoid fighting situations. But
yeah,
bumping into people all the time, not a huge fan. Definitely not a huge fan. Prefer to have some breathing room. Prefer to be able to look outside and see a lot of nature, or as much nature as possible. And definitely need to be able to walk outside, see some trees, see some grass, see the sun shining, and I don't want the sun to be blocked by a massive skyscraper. That's my view. That's my 2 cents. Well, you heard the man, ladies and gentlemen. That is his 2 cents. And this is Commercial Break Peter. Here to remind you that if you haven't liked the podcast yet, go ahead and smash the like button and do me one favor. Send this podcast to just one person, because it would mean the world to me. And you got to spread the good vibes. Anyways, we are getting back to the rest of the show, and now we're going to hear a incredible, heartfelt story about how Peter and Marcin met at a Cadillac dealership many years ago. Peter and Marcin, carry on, good sirs. It's got to be necessary for us to speak about how we first met, because people are probably looking at this podcast and saying, oh, a wild Texan man and a proper Polish lad somehow became best friends. And how the hell did that happen? So I'll just dive right into it. I met you, Marcin, back in, it was June of 2017. I had just graduated from good old Baylor, and I was starting a new chapter of my life, which was working at good old Sewell Cadillac of Dallas. And you had just moved to Dallas, actually, from Houston. You were working at the Cadillac dealership in Houston for Sewell. And you got moved over, or you moved over, I forget. And I was coming in fresh out of college, training to be a salesman, or a sales specialist, a Cadillac sales specialist. Pardon me. And as I was training and as I was learning, I got lucky enough to have you as my sales specialist that I got to shadow and learn from and just follow you around for 2 months. So how me and Marcin met is that I literally was at his hip for 2 months, and he taught me a lot of great things about how to connect with people, how to connect with customers, how to build value and, your services and your products and build value in yourself, most importantly, because I feel like that's one of the biggest things you taught me, that selling is about not selling necessarily the awesome Escalade Platinum edition that has all the features. It's about portraying to your customer that you're someone that is very knowledgeable when it comes to your product. You're someone that they can trust. You're someone they can relate to. And most importantly, you're someone who they really like. And through walking around with you and shadowing you for 2 months, I learned that. And it definitely paid dividends. And I still use a lot of those lessons I learned to this day. So, Gene, what'd you think having me follow you around for 2 months? How was it? Appreciate you letting me do it, by the way.
It was awesome. It was just like an old days or just like childhood, just like, let's just go hell, like old time fun. Just like, I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but I enjoy just the days of, it's just like a getting back to the, old childhood. Like,
It's
we
kind
gotta
of
work hard, but like,
it's kind of nostalgic now, and it's crazy that was only, 3 years ago. Right about 3 years ago was when we first met, Gene. And
I know.
It's been a great 3 years. Crazy to think how much life has changed. And had a hell of a time shadowing you. I'll never forget that one time we had this young couple come in, and it was probably the second or third week of me shadowing you. And it was a dead day at the dealership. It was about 110 degrees outside. And, if you're coming into Sewell Cadillac of Dallas, most of the time, you're coming to make something happen, or you're come to an appointment that you scheduled to come test drive the vehicle and get a product presentation. But this young couple walked in. Me and Marcin being the non-judgmental sales associates we were, and the type of sales associates that would give just about any situation, give it a go. We went up to this couple, and nonetheless, they wanted to test drive an ATS V, which, if you don't know what that is, it's a beast of a car. And they were, to put it in perspective, what do you think? They're probably 16 or 17 or 18. I remember they were, remember that couple that you drove. Well, this is what ended up happening, because I know you'll remember it after I say this. This young couple came in. They wanted to test drive the ATS V. And I was shadowing you. And what ended up happening is when we went to go scan their license, management told us, hey, they need to be 21 to drive that vehicle. We can't let them drive it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know now.
Now you remember.
I know now.
So what did we have to do? We still wanted to see if, they wanted to buy, but they just couldn't drive it. So Marcin, being the innovative salesman he was and still is, said, you know what? If you want to see how this puppy goes, I'll take it out for a spin, but I've got to drive. So we hop in the beast of a vehicle, the ATS-V. Marcin's behind the wheel. And I think I sat right behind you. And then this couple is riding in the car with us. And we zipped that thing around that lake that's right next to Dallas Love Field. And it was a stick shift. So you were feeling all the twists and turns and the acceleration and the power. It's a really fun car. And it got my heart thumping. And I'll never forget that, honestly. That was great.
Oh, it was a great time indeed. And you know what else is great? Water. You need to make sure you're drinking at least a gallon a day. And that's your Hamm Planet Podcast friendly reminder. Back to the show.
Hey Pete, so are we recording right now? You still
We
recording?
are. We are.
So I
brother.
feel like we do have to touch, like we have a dear friend to us who's just like killing right now in a dealership out there.
We absolutely do have a dear
Thomas?
friend. Thomas
Thomas?
indeed is crushing it. He has been the top Audi sales associate for 2020. And
You have to get him you have to get him a podcast. You have to get Thomas on it.
Thomas is getting on.
Besides Thomas, you have to get a couple of those characters because, like, I feel like people will love it. I mean, they were just like,
oh yeah. That's the thing I love about car sales guys, and just, you know, we have so many friends who are in automotive sales because that's how we met. And those guys,
I know, and
they're characters. They've got a slick silver tongue, and
yeah,
they've got a lot of energy. And
you know what? I'm gonna give the credit to who the credit belongs to, because Sewell's just do phenomenal job in terms of just like, you know, who they're gonna let into the organization and who they're not gonna let in the organization. Because it's like I would never join this company if that wasn't Sewell. Like, it was just like, you know, like when I heard I work for the software consulting company out of college called Quorum Business Solutions, and there was this guy who was a brilliant guy. He claimed to, he was kind of a compulsive liar, but he claimed to he was from New York City, went to Columbia University, and he's like, you know what, he was a brilliant guy, and I was like, I'm done with this. You know, I found this company, Sewell Automotive. I'm gonna go and sell the cars for them right now. And I'm just like, you must be fucking crazy. Like, you're gonna take this job downtown Houston, oil and gas job, and you're gonna go and sell cars? I'm just, you might be nuts. But he put in just 2 weeks, and guess what we did for the next 2 weeks? We talked about Sewell, how good of a, and then he knew I was gonna fed up with the same thing, and next thing you know, well, I went to the interview with them too, and you know, it just,
it's like a great place. It teaches you a lot, that's for sure.
Especially for athletes, like, you know, I remember, like, they showed me the board. Like, I don't know if they showed the board, like, hey, this is the board. Every Saturday we keep a tally on, like, who is the best, who's not. And I'm just like,
oh yeah, very competitive.
Board, like, there would not be a time in the world, like, unless I'm just like ready to give up with my life, like, I'll be lost on this board. And
that's why athletes really thrive in the car sales environment, because the more competitive you are, the harder you're going to work and the more you're going to make. And it's one of those careers, you get out what you put in. And if you are competitive, it is going to be right up your alley, and you'll probably do very well. And Sewell's a great place to do it.
It's kind of hard to replicate this environment anywhere else. Like, I mean, I try to, like, imagine, like, where can you replicate it, but it's really hard with the same, like, you know, because it's a couple of ingredients. You have good people, good management, and, you know, good product, and just like it's kind of hard to replicate it those days.
It's very hard. I mean, you know, you gotta build an empire to be at the level the Sewells are at. And that business has a hell of a lot of history behind it. But they're doing great things. And shout out to good old Tommy Waite, crushing it at Sewell Audi of McKinney. If you want an awesome car salesman, and you want an Audi, and you want the best in the business, you give brother Tom a call at Sewell Audi of McKinney.
Absolutely. Anytime. I'm gonna go myself and buy a car from Tommy if I can.
Yeah, and Gene is laughing because we love Tom so much.
I know.
He's one of the boys. Yeah, I'm so happy that
I
he's doing so well. It's been a
remember,
phenomenal thing to see.
Pete, whenever you left the school and I was still there, and you called me like, hey, there's my buddy coming into, he's looking for a job and he's out in McKinney. They're going to interview, and I actually like some of the managers like, hey, why don't you go and interview? And I'm just like, he sounds like a good guy, and I remember that's the best story when it starts. We meet the guy and you like listen to him, and he was just like went summer to New Orleans selling timeshare, and I'm just like, man, this guy's awesome. This guy's awesome.
He's one of a kind. And I actually remember that day vividly. I was like, yeah, Marcin, talk to my boy. He's a hell of a guy, loves selling, and his personality is one you've never seen before. And he is high energy. And he's a character. And
yeah.
He's man, he has maximized that opportunity at Sewell, and just hats off to Tom for being where he is today on the sales board. It's a beautiful thing. You love to see it. As I say, you love to see it. Good old Tommy.
You go out there to see Tom Waite and Audie McKinney.
Tommy Waite, Audie McKinney. Give him a call. Tom will send you the invoice for the free advertisement, the complimentary advertisement. All right, brother Marcin. We might as well get on to one of my favorite, most beloved and cherished parts of the Hamm Planet podcast. That is the good old Would You Rathers. Are you ready, brother Sheen?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You're cracking me up, brother. The one rule with the Would You Rathers is that you got to answer.
I'll answer. Don't worry about that.
All right. Coming out of the gates with a quick one. Marcin, would you rather have no nose or no ears?
Oh, absolutely no nose, brother. I mean, since I grew up, since I was very young, I've been told my no nose is like a big of a, it's the size of a, I don't know what you can compare it to, but it's
you got a great
big
nose,
old
Shane.
thing. It's a big old thing,
It takes in a lot of oxygen. It's a Poland oxygen tank.
I actually, I take it back. I honestly, I want to hear things. So I'd rather not smell things. I'm not worried about the aspect of like people judging me for my nose, because it's but it's like, I always find it funny, like, people like feel like, man, because when you like, when you're like 16, 15, and it's like you go out there, like I had some friends in the boarding school, and it's like, you got a big old nose, and I'm just like, I do. I don't really care, man.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. But I take no nose over no ears. You want to hear things, right?
I would go no ears.
Really?
I would go no ears. Yeah, I would, brother.
You just like rather be like
I love
deaf?
I love smelling. There's nothing like a smell of a good old brisket, or I just feel like not being able to smell food would be detrimental. And if I can't hear, I can at least utilize technology to have people transmit messages to me. I don't know.
Fair.
They both would not be ideal. But we're moving on to question number 2, Sheen. Would you rather sleep on the same bed sheets forever without changing them, or only be able to shower once per month? Ooh, that's greasy. What would you rather do, brother?
Ooh, man. Honestly, imagine like sleeping on the same sheets for like 20 years. That would be, no matter how much you shower, that would get a little disgusting. I'm gonna take the once a month shower. I mean, you can find ways to clean yourself off, a little more often.
Oh yeah.
But man, if you just like never change your sheets, oh man, especially my wife is a little germaphobe. Oh no,
She would not
that's
be
a big
happy
no.
with that. I wouldn't be
That's a
happy
big
with it
no,
either.
no. Yeah.
All right, we're on the same page with that one. All righty, brother. Would you rather always feel extremely tired no matter how much rest you got each day or each night, or always feel extremely hungry regardless of how much you ate? Ooh, that's a tough one.
Come on. You know the answer to this one. I mean, I feel like
I do hunger.
we do.
I hate feeling
You
tired.
you don't want to feel tired just because it just like tired almost equals lazy.
I hate
Like,
feeling
you
tired.
just like. So, but when you're hungry, you're alert. You want to do things. You want to look for things. You just like a little more alert.
You want to find food.
Like, yeah, you want to you want to wrestle in the middle of the living room to just like fight for that piece of food you have.
Sure. Or wrestle a bear so that you can maybe, well, not eat a bear, but
that's like a Russian. What's this? The
Khabib.
guy who fought Khabib. Yeah, he like
Khabib
wrestled,
Makhmedov wrestled baby bears growing up.
That's the way to do it.
He's insane, honestly, insane. Hell of
Is
a
he
fighter.
still around?
Oh yeah, he's still
top of his game.
Still on top of his game. He stepped out at his last fight because I think he didn't want to get sick or something along those lines. But, oh, yeah, he's still ready. He's a beast. All right, brother. Next question. Would you rather be the worst basketball player in the NBA or the world's greatest video game player? I like that one. What would you rather do, brother?
Oh, man. I'd rather be the worst basketball player. I'm not saying that just because you play sports, but it's like I just have no desire to play sport. I mean, you're talking to a guy who like never was into video gaming, so I have no desire to play video games. Zero, like
I have
zero.
So I have zero as well.
If I could make it, if you can make it just ride the bench in the NBA, I'll take it over being the best video game player in a day.
1,000% agree. Being in the NBA, honestly, even if you're in the G League, which is right below the NBA, is extremely impressive.
Yeah.
If you're the best video game player, I ain't impressed. But I know there are a lot of people out there in the world right now who are watching like live video game streams and Twitch and all that stuff. I don't know. It ain't for me. But I would definitely be in the NBA. Anyways, brother, moving on to the final would you rather question. I know you're fired up, and I am too. This might be the toughest one ever asked on the Hamm Planet Podcast. So here we go.
Oh, shit. Let's go.
Marcin Papiez, would you rather lose the ability to read or the ability to hear music?
Ooh, fuck, man. I mean, that's a tough one. That's really a tough one, just because.
Very tough.
Oh, I feel like we both, like, I don't know, like I'm just gonna say it. I feel like we would struggle with the same thing because, like, I have a hard time with reading. Like, I do find a lot of value in reading, but it's just like I didn't grow up reading a lot. But I want to do it, But like when you put on the music, I don't know what music you listen to, but when you put on the music that just like get you pumped, you just go. So imagine yourself like getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning and opening up a book and start reading, or putting your best music? What are you gonna?
I'm taking the music. I'm taking the music.
I'm taking the music too. Taking the music too.
Give me the music every day. I believe the future is moving towards a place where learning via video is gonna honestly overtake learning from books. But there is so much value that's in books, and I absolutely wish I was more of a big reader guy. Which, I mean, I read a lot every day. It's just not always in a book. But I'm going music.
Yeah.
99 times out of 10.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
No question. The thing about books, like, you might be like, 150 pages into a book. I'm just like, what am I reading here? Like, is it worth my time? Is it worth my effort? I don't think so. Like, it's just like,
yep.
It's just like all media.
A lot of books in high school and middle school that I was assigned to read. Spark Notes might have saved my life a time or two. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Shout out Spark Notes.
Same here.
Are they still around? I bet they are. I hope they're doing great.
I'm just Google, just the overall good old Google might have replaced it with random stuff.
It's all on there. I love good old Spark Notes. Well, brother Marcin, we've had a wonderful, splendid, marvelous time today. And I've loved having you on the podcast, brother. Really do appreciate your time.
Anytime, Pete. It was the first time. But it was a great time. And looking forward to just see what you got on your plate, man. I'm looking forward. So just show yourself and show everyone else. And it's like, because I know you're going to do great things.
Greatly appreciate that big time, brother. And that means a lot to me. And like I always say, we're just getting started. The best is yet to come. And I'm hyped for what's ahead of us. And we got to make that adventure to Europe. We got to make that happen. And for the record, it's on the podcast, so it's ingrained in history. We want to get out and get after it. We're gonna get all the great history and beauty soaked into the mind.
Yeah, we're gonna see things, just that. See different things, look for different perspectives.
That's what life's all about, brother. Well, without further ado, me and Marcin loved recording this podcast, and we hope you really loved it too. And if you loved our episode, or even if you just loved one snippet of something we said, or we made you laugh, made you chuckle, or made you smile, do us a favor. Share this podcast with anyone in your life who you feel like needs a little bit more good vibes. And as I always say, you can never overdose on the good vibes, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to connect with Marcin, Marcin's on LinkedIn, Marcin Papiez. And as always, get out into the world and do something great. Till next time, ladies and gents.